everybody. Welcome to another episode of Haunt Talk. Today's episode is going to be our first of the 4 haunts we did in Maryland. They all ended up being in Maryland, which is going to be Markoffs Haunted Forest. Now, this one is one that I've been wanting to go to for a while because I saw things online about it probably 5+ years ago, and I always thought that it looked very intriguing, very beautiful. Now, in years past, it used to be 2 different trails, and you would have to choose the trail you want, and it points the trails that intersect. But it was one attraction. When you're done at the trail, you didn't go on the other one. You'd have to pay a completely separate entry fee. But now they've combined the 2 trails. And now, we never went when there was 2 trails, so do let us know if you've been there, if there used to be more things. Or, if they, cut things because, the trails couldn't intersect that way or whatever. But from what I understand, they haven't really cut much. They've just done it in a way where you just get to see almost everything that both trails used to offer. And there's also something called The Town, which is another separate ticketed attraction. But yeah, with that being said, we must refer to the Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead!
All right, so starting off, we're going to talk about sets and props. So Markoffs Haunted Forest actually has 3 attractions. When you walk into the Cursed Village, which is kind of their version of a midway.
Yes, it is their version of a midway with the biggest bonfires I've ever seen. I kid you not, there's 1 or 2 trees.
Yeah.
Trees, and I have footage of this.
Actual trees.
There's just 3 piles of these trees, and they're just on fire, and it's at first I thought it was the fog machines when you walk up to it. I'm like, oh, look at all this fog. No, it's the smoke from the 3 burning trees.
Yeah. So, you can get concessions. They have a bar. They have s'mores, which has a special little bonfire, which honestly, I think they should have gotten, giant marshmallows, so you, felt you could go up to the giant trees and roast your marshmallow, but anyway.
Funny, have oversized marshmallows for the oversized bonfires.
Yeah, it'd be great. And, the big king-size candy bars.
Yeah.
Why not? They also have, a DJ, and a dog.
That's the best part. Yeah, so there's literally a hunt. So the DJ comes on, he's like, we got food, we got drinks, we got dogs. And I'm like, you got what? So I instantly went on the mission to find the dog. And I found him almost instantly, an adorable German Shepherd, little handkerchief. I'm like, mirror, mirror, and he came right there, and I gave him little pets. And I just kept finding him throughout the night, just hanging out with different groups of people.
Mm-hmm. I think he likes cotton candy, because he was chilling by the cotton candy booth a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the rest of the attraction is. Doggo, 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Yeah, I was happy to find this
super cute
dog. Anywho.
All right, so that's kind of a fun thing to hang out and stuff that, because they do have time ticketing here where you get a number.
Yeah, which is weird because, when they call your number, you don't actually have to go when they call. You just can't go before your number's called, but anytime after, though.
Yeah. So you can just, hang out in the Cursed Village and, eat, drink, pet dogs, whatever.
They also have, zip lining.
There's zip lining, there's axe throwing. Yep. There was a, one of those log balance things.
Yeah, the death rolls, what they call it there.
Looked terrifying. And then you, when your number gets called, you can go and get in line for the trail. And that's one of the first haunted attractions, so to speak. I do
want to mention real quick before we move to the trail, one thing that I found really cool is because they do, of course, have food concessions. I guess, all the food, for example, if you get a cheeseburger, so it's on a farm, and, the burger you get is literally from their cows. And I think that goes with a lot of the stuff you get there. I don't think I've ever been to a haunt that has, oh, the food I'm ordering is literally grown
was in
here.
The field.
Yeah.
It was in the field last week.
It's within walking distance for me to go find where my food came from. I find that really neat. We didn't get a chance to try the food because we were trying to get to another haunt. So stay tuned for Laurel Salsa Forest. But yeah, so now I think we'll kind of start with the trail, I guess.
All right. So, it is a walking trail, and it actually, like Josh said, it was 2 trails originally. Yeah. And they kind of just made them into one giant trail. So, really, I've never seen like some of the sets like this on a trail before.
Yes, it's definitely one of the most unique trails I've seen. Do be forewarned that there is definitely... It's a very even trail, meaning like it's not... Well, it's not even. It's... The trail, I guess, is pretty safe. Meaning, like, it's pretty well padded. It's a flat trail, but there is a lot of elevation changes.
Yes, there are some steps. There is, like when one of the first things we walked into, it was like kind of like a decline.
Yeah, that was like the steepest
trail.
decline, so you kind of have to like,
just watch your footing, while you're watching for ghouls and stuff like that.
Yeah, thankfully it never seemed like they really tried to scare much on the steeper sections or anything. Like,
no scares on stairs.
Yeah.
They had a lot of really cool sets that were just
A lot.
Beautiful lighting, just really like.
Yeah. You can't see, like, necessarily sets that are coming up from far away, but you can see there's just, like, lighting and fog just everywhere. And honestly, like, thinking back, like, there's so much fog in the forest, and I think they do that because there's not walls built up, so you can't really see scenes in the distance.
You can't see what's coming.
You can just see all these cool, glowing, like, almost neon-esque lights, all your blues and reds that you typically see in a haunt.
Yeah. So, some of the first things we came up to was really cool jack-o'-lanterns.
Yep, it was kind of like a traditional, like, Halloween kind of looking scene.
There was a cool cemetery with a big old church.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, as you're walking through the cemetery, then it's literally up on a hill.
Yeah,
there's like a big-ass church up on this hill that you're slowly making your way up to.
It's just like, and you could tell that they just built most of this stuff.
Most stuff's handmade for sure.
And probably built it out there because I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how they would have gotten down there because I mean the trails aren't huge.
Yeah.
Like you could probably maybe walk 2x2 if you wanted to. But it's not really big where you could like. I'm sure there's probably like side roads or so. I don't know, but there was a lot of little haunted houses throughout it too in the trail.
Little buildings.
So there was like little buildings that you would walk into. We did encounter like more of your like traditional kind of haunted house that we went into.
Yeah, it was cool because it actually had like lightning on it as well, like to simulate and like storming sounds and stuff.
Yeah, it just the way they lit things and stuff was just phenomenal.
Very grand. Everything felt like big and spectacle. Like,
yeah, like you're just really surprised that you're like in the woods and all this stuff is there.
Because mind you, from the midway, you can't, because it's such a dense forest, you can't see a thing besides the exit. You can kind of see that there's flashing lights at the exit, and that's all you can see for the entire haunt. You can't tell anything else.
Yeah. There was a giant Ferris wheel.
Yes, that was really cool. There's like carnival section with the full, like, didn't move fast, but it was a moving Ferris wheel.
It was moving, yeah, and it had like skeletons on it and stuff like that. But it was like a full size. God only knows where they got it, but it was there.
Yeah, it was cool.
There was a really cool witch scene with like a little witch hut with a bunch of like, weird
like sticks and shit. Yeah.
Sticks and things like that. And then something that we thought was really unique and we've never really seen this before, but they had Vikings.
Yes. Which it's kind of cool because it transitions from the witches to the Vikings, which both has like slight Celtic themes.
Yeah.
And so you don't realize, and you're like, oh wait, we're not witches anymore. It's like slowly transitions over to Vikings.
Yeah, and it was weird because I was like, oh, more witches. This is a really big witch area. And then I started seeing like shields and arrows and helmets and stuff. And I'm like, wait. And then we got to the ship.
Yeah, that was probably the coolest scene. They have a ship that's in the middle of the water, and you have to like walk across like a bridge, and like the ship's cracked in half, and you walk through it. And the whole thing, of course, is like there's fog rolling over the lake, and it's lit really beautifully, just like everything else here was.
It was amazing. It was probably one of my favorite scenes from this year.
Yeah,
like, just in overall, I was just in awe. Like we turned that corner, and I'm like, oh my god, it's a Viking ship, and there's water, and this and that, and I'm just like, this is so cool. There was also a dragon graveyard,
which is kind of how like the Viking scene ends.
Yeah. You literally walk through the belly of
Yep.
a dragon skeleton, which
Yeah.
I thought was really, really awesome how they did that.
And they had a cool puppet because there's like a dead one, and then there's one that's not completely dead that will come out and attack you. And then I was excited. I wish this part was done a little bit better, but there is an alien scene where you walk into a UFO. It just kind of felt like things were falling apart a little bit in there.
Yeah.
Because I was super excited with aliens, and like it wasn't bad. It was still cool, but I wish it was a little bit better. Because you just don't see aliens very much. And then there was like a lumberyard, which is like your chainsaw kind of themed area. And then it ends with like a junkyard rave party. This section's really short, but it is cool. They're like blasting like dubstep, and you like are walking on these kind of sketchy feeling catwalks.
I felt very unsafe, even though I wasn't very far from the ground. It was like it was moving, and I'm like, ugh.
And they have their logo like on fire. It says Markoffs, and there's like buses and just crap just stacked everywhere. it was cool. And then that's when you go back into the midway section, the Cursed Village, and then after that we made our way over to the town. Now the town you cannot walk to. You get on a, like, I don't want to call it a hayride, but it's a tractor pulled wagon that kind of looks like something from Disaster Transport, because it even has like the pull down like gates.
Yeah.
I don't know what these vehicles are from, or these, I don't know what the things that are being pulled are from, but that was cool. Unfortunately, it's not a haunted like ride. I really wish it was.
Yeah.
I kind of honestly just wish the town wasn't a walkthrough and they just had like a haunted hayride.
It was kind of terrifying because the guy that was driving the trailer did not have lights on.
Oh yeah,
he was just
I don't know
driving
why.
in
There's no
pitch
actors.
black through the woods.
Yeah,
And
I don't know why.
it was just terrifying because we're like, are we going to hit a tree?
Yeah.
Does he know where he's going?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that bright out. Like the moon was kind of like, it was there, but not much, It was kind of scary.
The town it does have elaborate parts, not nearly as elaborate as the trail. It starts off with walking through a fairly decently sized like corn section. It's not a maze because you can't get lost in it, but it is like a big cornfield with paths carved out through it.
Yeah.
Not many scenes in the corn itself. There might be like one or two little things.
Yeah.
And then you eventually come to the town, which is like an old western town essentially.
Yeah. So one of the first things you go into is the sheriff's office, and he's asking you to find somebody for him because they broke from their chains or something like that. And then he like kind of mocks people too, and he was making fun of him and stuff like that. And then you go and there's like a horse and buggy like stable kind of area.
Yeah, kind of like if you've already been to Cedar Point, they have like a prop like that, like a skeleton led horse and buggy.
Yeah.
There was a saloon that you go through, a bathhouse. There is like a dark section of the haunt, which I'm not the biggest fan of it. It was kind of freaky because it was pretty tight.
Yeah. It gave me big Fortress of Fear, if you watched our review for that.
Yeah.
How we said that the buildings were kind of weird and like you were kind of like claustrophobic and stuff like that. That's what this dark section kind of felt like.
Uneven
a little bit.
flooring, like doing wonky things. That was kind of cool. And then like the last scene is like a bank where it looks like you might get the opportunity to get like a bullet hole on your head. We didn't get that, but like some people were split off, and then they'd come out with like blood dripping down their forehead. And the one people were freaked out because the one guy acted like maybe he fell or something, but he was just kidding. And it was just like an actor had put it on him. Sets and props are really good. Like I said, there were a couple scenes that looked like need a little bit of TLC. Some parts on the trail do meander a little bit. Like there are parts where you're just kind of walking around and there's just like little torches kind of lighting your way, and you're just kind of wandering, like waiting for the next thing to happen. But what they do have in the trail, like there's just so many big, just impressive, like look at me type of scenes.
Yes, definitely distracts you because you're like, wow, and then you know that opportunity for people to come at you is right there.
Right. The town obviously is a step down, but what they had back there, they do have some pretty convincing buildings and stuff like that. It definitely is a lesser attraction than the trail, in my opinion, but I still think that it is good. And I do recommend if you're going to Markoffs to do both. Like, you the ticket's completely separate. The town is not time ticketing. You can go to the town whenever you want.
Yeah.
The trail, like we said, is time ticketing, though. So, yeah. Overall, we really liked sets and props. We gave it a 9.
All right, so that moves us to actors. It was kind of odd. There was some that would interact with you, but not a lot. They would just kind of like some would just kind of stare at you.
Yeah.
Some would kind of growl. There was just a few that would actually do things. I think the people that were in the town were more interactive than the trail, just because they kind of like were playing out a scene a little bit in the town.
Yeah, the town definitely seemed more active than the trail. The trail is very long. We'll talk about it more in value, but it is longer, and because of that, they do fall into that trope that a lot of longer haunts do, which is they just don't have enough actors to satiate the length of the haunt.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of parts where you're kind of just like, nothing's really happening. They do also really conga line you through this place, and with the way the scares were, at least when we went, it didn't necessarily justify having a conga line.
Yeah.
I think that the actors, there just needed to be more and more hiding. Yeah, there were some good ones, like they do light touching here. So there was like a witch that grabbed Kim's hair.
Mm-hmm. There was a guy that grabbed ankles.
Yeah.
And there was like a laser area.
Yeah, there was a laser area, which is actually kind of cool. I haven't seen it many places, but there's an area you walk across the bridge and the lasers are sideways to make like a laser wall, and people come out from you from the left or right side, which was cool.
In the town, there was, like I said, it was a little bit more interactive. They seemed to kind of want to get you put into the scene and, kind of talk to you and stuff like that. Standout person was the person that introduced us to the town at the beginning. She was very colorful.
Yeah.
In her little speech, and she was pretty interesting. Josh got shamed by the sheriff because he said that he was using me as a human shield.
Because Kim was leading through that part of the town, and telling me that, I don't know, just like, you're not a man or whatever he would say then. So he was kind of cool. There was a pretty good scare with this guy who's like in, I don't know, he's probably in the saloon or whatever. When you walk in, he has a gun, and there's a thing he hits, and it's like a really loud, it's like cracker that like flashes a light. So that was kind of cool. There was a cool stilt guy that did startle us a bit. There's like a room with all these real tall things, and one of them's a real person. And I like that. Very rare do I see like the mannequin type of fake out scare when it's like giant props and one's just a person on stilts. So I did like that. Actors weren't bad. I do just wish there was more interaction, specifically on the trail, because it really was like a raw and then done type of situation. And so there really just wasn't a lot of standout to mention. I did get got a few times.
Yeah.
Kim, unfortunately, didn't get many scares at all on the trail because there were, again, the conga line, and there was a bunch of teenagers, and they were kind of focused on them. I get scared really easy with loud noises, and there were quite a few times where loud noises happened that made me yip. I'm pretty easy to scare when it comes to that kind of thing. So I did get a couple on the trail. But overall, like I said, there was a little bit to be desired from the actors, but they were pretty good what was there. Costuming was decent, but it is a trail, so costume I think was better in the town, because a lot of it's like indoor buildings, where outside a lot of you see a lot more like black robes and stuff like that.
Yeah, black robes, masks, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but again, it's a trail, so it's kind of harder to do like elaborate makeup and stuff like that when you're in an outdoor situation.
Yeah.
But actors, we did give a 7.75. All right, so next up is scare factor. Now, again, we kind of touched on it with actors, but there is light touching here. Nothing real crazy, like no grabbing really, like you might get like a this kind of situation, just like a brushing, but not like anyone like, nothing like we talked about in Nightmare Cleveland where they pin you up against walls and stuff. Not a lot of gore. This place is definitely more focused on being beautiful. There are a couple like butchery type shop scenes, but like it's more focused on like woodsy like horror, I guess, if that makes sense. Think like, I don't know, stuff you'd find in like the Blair Witch Project and stuff like that. Like I said, lots of loud noises though, so that was definitely the thing that kind of got me the most. Just there's just lots of people banging things on things and like just that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy loud, though. I was happy because I really hate it when, like, these places, like, use guns and stuff like that and fire blanks right beside your head. And it's like, oh, great, you scared me and also deafened me.
Yeah. That was my main concern when we went into the town, because I saw that it was, like, an Old West town. And I'm like, oh, God, there's going to be, like, lots of, like, shooting and all this stuff, and it's going to be really loud. But thankfully it wasn't. There was just that one bang.
I don't understand how, honestly, it's even legal to do that. Like, we went to that one haunted hayride, and they shot a gun. What was a Spooky Ranch? They shot a gun, like, right by people's head, like a shotgun, blanks. Like, that's literally, like, that's not scary. That's destroying people's hearing.
It was
I don't understand how places get away with that, because, like, you wouldn't go to a shooting range without proper hearing protection.
Yeah.
Why would you shoot a gun this far away from someone? Like, yeah, it's not a real bullet, but it's a blank.
Yeah.
It's still making the noise.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. But they don't do that here, so cool. I do really like, it's like a very, like, old school, I feel like, spooky atmosphere, especially in the trail.
Yeah.
Like, just, like, your classic lighting and fog, and just, like, yeah, this is really more of a place to go for the spectacle of it. You will get scares, but this is really a place to go and, like, just to see what they've made back there. I knew it wasn't going to be that scary going in. It was pretty much exactly what I expected. As we mentioned, there is rough terrain, so do keep that in mind. Make sure you wear good shoes when you go. Don't wear any of the Hey Dudes or anything like that. You'll be slipping and falling.
Don't wear your Crocs.
Yeah, don't wear your Crocs.
Or your slippers.
And I would say it definitely is somewhat family friendly. I mean, the Cursed Village has a real fun party atmosphere.
Yeah.
And everything just was fun. There was people of all ages that we saw there. So I would say this is a good one. I wouldn't take anyone under the age of maybe 8 there, but, like, I think if they're a kid that's slightly okay with this, I think that this is, like, a good one to take them to, because I think it's more fun than it is scary. That being said, we did get scare factor 7, because, like I said, there are some jump scares and loud noises, but, like I said, for the most part, and just being in the woods, I guess I will say is a little freaky. Just being deep in the dark woods, there's a certain, like, feeling to that, like, being just inside of, like, a haunted house, like in a strip mall or something, just really can't convey. Like, there's just, like, this feeling that
you're in the middle of nowhere.
You're in the middle of nowhere. And this place is in the middle of nowhere. It's a real beautiful property, I will say. But it's out there. Yeah, it's out there. We had to drive a little bit before I could get some GPS signal to find our way home.
Zero service.
Yeah, because we in Maryland. We ain't know where we are. But yeah, scare factor, like I said, is a 7. So that brings us to value.
All right. So, the trail was 30 minutes to go through. The town took about 15 minutes to go through. The trail is, and it varies on the day and the time you go. The trail was $30 to $50. The town was $20 to $30. The trail does have time ticketing, but like we said earlier, you get a number, and once your number is called, you can go into the line anytime you want.
I don't know if that's the best system ever, because, like, if people are waiting, I feel like it probably makes the line really long.
Yeah, because, I mean, what if, like, say you get there and
there's a whole bunch
you're waiting for me, you have a number 1 ticket, you could have gone in, but I get there late and I have number 5, now you have to wait.
Yeah.
It might be busier at that time.
Well, yeah, it is strange that they don't actually make you go into the time you select, because that was the other thing, like, when you go online, you select your time slot, but when you go and redeem your time slot, they just give you, like, a group number, and I assume that group number is associated directly to that time slot.
Yeah.
But we were time slot number 1, and I thought there was a time before us, but maybe not. Yeah. Now, they do not sell VIP because of the time ticketing and that. There is no VIP line. There is just the 1 ticket price.
Yeah. And it does sell out. They do sell out of the tickets.
Fast, apparently.
To get into the Cursed Village, it is free. So if you just want to hang out in a kind of spooky atmosphere and just, eat concessions and s'mores and whatnot.
Yeah, because it looks like...
You can do that.
Yeah, and it looks like the food is good there. And, like, they do have alcohol. They have spiked cider and, like, local beer and wine. So you can get that kind of stuff. And there's, like, fun little games. So, like, I could definitely see... This is, like, a great haunt if, like, let's say you're a parent and your teenagers really want to go to a haunt, but obviously they can't drive themselves. You can have fun just sitting by a giant bonfire, drinking your wine. They have, I'm sure, what looks like it would be good coffee and hot chocolate as well.
Yeah.
and you can just kind of have a fun time, play with the dog. I don't know, and just kind of chill. But yeah, it is a little pricey. It is long though. Like I said, it is long. But yeah, I mean, for what? Because we paid, I think it was the higher price. Because yeah, it was about 80. Yeah, we paid the 50 and the 30. Because I know it was like 80 per person. And of course, there's like a $9 processing fee, like maybe per ticket. I know it was like, yeah, it was quite a bit of money. I think it is worth it, but it is more on the expensive side, which is why we gave value an 8.
So that brings us to our overall score, and we gave them an 8.75.
Yeah. I do think the haunt is very good, and I do recommend going to it. I was very slightly underwhelmed. I still really enjoyed it, but I was kind of expecting it to blow me away just a little bit more mainly in the actor department.
Yeah.
Like I said, and I knew going in that it wasn't going to be like super scary, but I just kind of wish the actors were a little more interactive. It did feel more like it did feel more like I was kind of just walking through like a really elaborate display with some actors here and there.
Yeah.
Than it did like an actual full-fledged haunted attraction. But again, because of the amazing displays that they've hand-built back there, if you're a haunt fan, I do recommend this place quite a bit. I haven't seen anything quite like it, and it should be on your priority list to visit at some point in your life just to see the scenes. I don't know if they ever do like a daytime tour where you can go and take pictures, kind of like, I know Haunted Overload, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
They have a time where they do that. This would be like the perfect place. Just open in the day and just let you roam around at your pace and take pictures. That would be fantastic, and I'd love to do that. But yeah, have you guys been there? What did you think of it? Make sure you're liking and subscribing. Also, make sure to check out our merch store. We have t-shirts, bags, hoodies, all that kind of stuff with our Haunt Talk logo on it. Check out our Patreon if you want to help support us. There's different tiers, and you get like different things for those tiers. But again, it's mainly just to help support us. You can also leave us a super thanks if you want to leave us the equivalent of a tip on YouTube. And as always, of course, you make sure you're ringing the notification bell.
There it is.
So you don't miss any future upcoming videos. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.